everyone, Jen Rulon from jenrulon.com and Rulon Racing. So this is your post-race Ironman vlog report. And I wanted to do it in Mont, Tremblant, but I just needed to decompress and just sort of chill and figure out like what just happened. Are you ready? All right, I'm not going to talk to y'all about what I ate pre and post, what I ate during. If you want that detailed, I can actually upload that information on my blog if you guys are interested in that as well. But here's the thing, I want to share with you about a little bit about the swim, a little bit about the bike, but then really talk to you about the run and how I mentally got through that run and how I pretty much crushed it. Because this was my goal for Ironman Mont Tremblant. Solid swim, smart bike, crush it run. Because the run is my jam. And if you've heard athletes, triathletes, especially pros will say this, bike for show, run for dough. And that's exactly what I did. So let's talk a little bit about the swim, a little bit about the bike, and then we'll talk a little bit, and we'll talk mostly about that run and then that finish. Okay, I'll try not to get too excited. So the swim, like I told you, I wanted a solid swim. Sometimes when I go out and swim long, I will go out in la la land. I won't really think about what's going on. I won't stay on top of mind for the swim. I just sort of doodle around and just sort of la la la, okay, I gotta get the swim in, gotta get the swim done. But what I realized over the last few months with my swims, when I was swimming a lot of long course, is that if I was able to engage my scapula, my traps, and my lats and pull through the back, then I knew I could be a little bit more on top of the water. So when I really tried to stay on that top of mind through that 2.4 mile swim, and I did. I came out at an hour and 13 and some change, and I was super excited about that. And that's what I did in 2015 at Ironman Mont Tremblant. So I knew I could have a somewhat decent swim and not deal with those ocean waves like I do at Florida, and not deal with terrible water at Texas. Like Tremblant was a gorgeous swim. It was a lake wetsuit swim. Water was about 68, 69 degrees. It was absolutely perfect. I do have to say at the end, my toes and my fingies got a little chilly, but once I stood up and stopped being horizontal, I was ready to jam for that bike. So transition with Tremblant, it's a long transition from that swim to get your bike stuff. So it's a little bit longer transition. So if you ever do that race, just keep that in mind. And the great thing is that when I came out of the swim, I heard my sister-in-law, my niece, and my nephew cheering for me. And that's the first time they've ever been to an Ironman other than watching Ironman live, right? And I made shirts for them with our owl. So I'm super stoked that they were there to see that. And they were just there to see an epic race for both Chris and I. So it was great to see them. I come out of transition. Here's the thing, I actually carried my bike shoes to my bike and put them on at my bike, because in 2015, I wore my bike shoes in transition and I slipped and fell and landed so hard. I was actually afraid I wasn't gonna finish the run. So yeah, it was ugly. So then I carried them out, and then as I was leaving for the bike, there Jackson and Taryn were cheering me on. So it was so awesome to see them. So then the bike. So I knew I had to be smart on the bike, because here's the thing, is that if you go out too hard and your power is too high, then you will have nothing on that run. So of course I went on Best Bike Split and looked at my numbers. I had an idea of where I needed to be. So I was thinking like 145 for my power. It ended up being 150 normalized power, which was higher than I anticipated. And I was a little nervous when I saw that. And then my average though was like 135, 137 power. So I was really okay with that. Now that's a big difference with normalized power and average power, but that's another topic for discussion. But what happened was there's lots of climbing. It's like over 5,000 feet of climbing. So I was really smart on the bike, and I stayed aero as much as I could. When you get to a point going up a hill or up a mountain and you're going like 6-7 miles per hour, you can get out of your aero. But I did try to stay aero as possible. And then when I went down those hills, I took advantage and pushed down as much as I could until I got to about 32, 35 miles per hour. And then I just coasted the rest of the way, because at that point I needed to let the legs rest, right? So the bike I was really happy with. I did the bike in about a 5:53. So I was really stoked about that, but I knew I was smart on my bike. I knew I had to be in that range of 140 to 145. Normalized power was 150. So when I did get off, I was like, okay, let's just see how the legs roll. So got into transition. I kept my shoes on my bike because this is where I fell on my ass in 2015. So I went into transition. I dropped the drawers, put on my Lulu shorts just because I like that comfortability of running, and then of course my Rulon racing top, and off I went. And the cool thing was I walked. So here's a little tidbit or a piece of advice. During an Ironman, you take in so much shit, right? It's your nutrition, right? So first endurance, spot on. Thank you guys, amazing. But then I did need a little bit more calories, so I did take in some Gatorade. So you're taking in first endurance, you're taking in Gatorade, and like you get off the bike and you're like. So my friend Dawn English told me put a little mouthwash in there. So I put some mouthwash in my run bag, and I'm running out of T2 swooshing, and I looked to my right, and there was my sister-in-law, my niece and nephew, and then they were FaceTiming my brother, and so I'm like, hi guys. and then afterwards Jackson's like, what did you spit out after we saw you? And so I was like, oh, mouthwash. So yes, it felt so refreshing because I was like, And so then I took in some water. And the funny thing is on my run, I just started my watch a little bit late. So if you do follow me on Strava, you'll see that it's not 26.2, but there's a reason, because I started late. I dropped my Rudy sunglasses and I just left them. Like the lenses go popping out. And then I was just like, anybody want some glasses? So somebody got a free pair of Rudy Project sunglasses, like the aviator style. I know. So anyways, okay, the run. So think about it. It's a 2-loop course. It's pretty much a 10K out, 10K back. Repeat that one more time. So, it's 42. So they do it by K. So I had to have my Garmin on there so I could listen to the miles, right? Anyways, I'm heading out on the run, and I felt like I was flying. And I kept looking at my watch, and it said 750s, some 715s going downhill. I was like, oh God, like, can I maintain this? And no, I could not maintain the 715, but I could maintain the 8 to 830. And that's exactly what I did. I'll show you my Strava information by mile, but, and of course I slowed down, but I only slowed down by 6 minutes from the first half to the second half. So I am ecstatic with how that went down. Anyways, going into the race, I knew my run was spot on. I saw Chris Like, I think I was at mile 5, almost 6, and he's like, come. He's like, there's not a lot of women in front of you. It's time to go. And I'm like, so, I take off. He's like, do what you came here to do. What did I come here to do? I came here to get that slot to Kona, right? But I knew I can only control what I can control. So I got to the 10K or whatever it is, 10.3, I think it was, and came back. But I felt so good. I felt amazing. So I get to about the 15K, and I was like, okay, sort of need something different. So I took in some Humagel just to change it up a little bit with a little bit of caffeine. It felt great. I get into town. So this is, going into that, into the half marathon. And I see some women. I saw women going out, and then I saw them coming back. And in my mind, I thought, I'm not going to be able to catch them. There's no way I'm going to be able to catch them. Well, we'll talk about that in a bit. So I come into into town. I go grab my my special needs bag. I had some more Humagel. I had some Cliff Blocks in there just in case. And I said, all right, let's do this. And so as I'm coming down down into town, I see my niece and my sister-in-law and my nephew, and I pulled over and I gave them each a kiss. I told them I loved them, and I took off. And my brother was like, I hope that didn't cut time on your race. And I'm like, actually, that gave me time. Like, that truly gave me so much energy. So I'm smiling the whole time. If you guys look at my pictures, there's a couple pictures that I am not smiling, but I am smiling. And so I felt so energized and so full. Like, my heart was just so happy. My heart was so happy out on that race course. Don't get me wrong, the weather was perfect. It was so ideal. It was so gorgeous. So I'm out on the run. I'm smiling. Everybody's like, people are speaking to me in French. I have no idea what they're saying. And I take off, and this one woman goes, there she is again, kicking ass and smiling at the same time. And I'm like, yep, yes, I am. So I'm heading out for my second lap.